But if you've been listening to the podcast, not just Unfiltered, that's the podcast you should be listening to first. But if you just so happen to be listening to the Micah Parsons podcast, you would have heard Micah Parsons utter the phrase, "This is a damn good team." Now, who am I to combat the things that Micah Parsons says about this football? Who am I to question a man who is the leader of this defense on this football team? Who am I to question such a man who is a part of this damn good football team? I say that I'm the person who questions these things. But Micah has had a run at it. And I don't know if this is, I don't know, like I'm trying to decipher, because there's a couple parts to me when it comes to this. There is a part of me that says, way to go, Micah. There is a part of me that says, way to go, Micah. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm being serious. Because what else is he supposed to say? I think Micah tries, and I think he tries to lean into the leadership role. I think he tries. I think sometimes he misses the mark with some of the things that he tries to say to be in that leadership role. If I'm coach, if I'm owner, if I'm GM, if I'm president, I want Micah Parsons to say these things. I want him to come out and talk glowingly about this football team and to say things like, I know the score may not show it, but we are a damn good football team. And then there's another part of me that says Micah's becoming what he claims to hate. You see, he claims to hate the clickbait narrative. Micah claims to hate people doing and saying things just for the hell of it, for the engagement. But then I remember that he too has a podcast to sell. Micah has been named the president of football content, right? It's football content over at Bleacher Report. So within that, he understands, if he's attending the meetings with the marketing department and all the folks behind the scenes, then he has to understand that there is a component to this podcast thing where you have to say things to populate engagement. That you have to be not necessarily controversial, but conversational. You have to put out things and statements and quotes that will shake the table a little bit. That will get folks to sometimes roll their eyes, to get people like me to do exactly what I'm doing now and talk about it on their platform. Now, my platform, man, you say, hey, your platform's not bigger than ESPN. Your platform's not bigger than FS1. And your platform is not bigger than X or Instagram or TikTok. And sure, not yet. But it's the engagement that I am always reminded of when I hear him talk. And then there's a part of me also that believes that maybe maybe there is a little bit of delusion. And I don't know if it's bad delusion, because you have to somehow, some way defend it. What's being put on film, what people are watching by the millions at TV, the thousands in the stadium. There may be sometimes you're so deep in the forest you miss the trees. And I think sometimes when you get so deep into what you're doing, you do create this level of delusion of what really is going on around you, especially when you're the key component in it. It's different to be Josh Butler, who is a player, but not a player. Josh Butler is not, and this is no Josh Butler, this is no knock to you. I'm just using your name as a reference. Josh Butler isn't the name that's going into the headlines. Josh Butler isn't going to have when the games are played on TV, he's going to have a graphic come up with his name on it. Josh Butler isn't going to have any of that. Micah is. He's a part of that conversation when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys in its totality as a team. So those three parts, I waffle in between those three parts, but nonetheless, it leads me here, talking about it, engaging it, giving it more legs, giving it wind beneath the wings for it to carry on into the ether of the universe of sports media talk. But it's tough for me. And I'm not saying that I am the ultimate decision maker or film watcher, but it's tough for someone who I have knowledge of the game. I trust my knowledge. I trust my eyes. I trust what I'm seeing. So for me, it's tough to watch what I've watched for the last 10 weeks when this team, because Micah's conversation is that, the injuries. And I'm like, boy, I watched and I covered and I studied what the Saints did to you. And you were fully healthy at that point in time. Like, and Micah talked in that podcast, and he's like, besides us giving up the first 2 touchdowns in the first half, and, we only gave up 4, what did he say, 2 or 3 field goals in the second half. I'm like, that's 20, 23 points. I don't know if that's a damn good team. Giving up 23 points. Like, you're still giving up touchdowns. And we're not even talking about the ones that got called back. So, a damn good team needs to show up this Sunday. That I do know.